Welcome to Making IT Work, Deep Creek Center's blog for IT professionals committed to using best practices to provide exceptional value for their business clients.
Hi, and welcome to the podcast. Today we're going to talk a little bit about why organizations would want to leverage and use something like the NIST cybersecurity framework. And when we do, we talk about this in the context not so much of specific implementation of cybersecurity controls, but more broadly about what we call the business of cybersecurity. How do we organizationally align cybersecurity practices with the organization's overall goals and objectives? So this conversation has to begin with your organization's governing body. For those of you who may never have studied the specific differences between governance and management, governing bodies evaluate strategic alternatives, keeping in mind that there may be many different strategies an organization could take, but there are only a few that they can actually commit to do. So it is their job to evaluate those alternatives and then to be able to direct certain actions of the management team. Also, it's a critical part of successful boards of directors, for example, to establish appropriate monitoring and oversight to enable and ensure that the management team is in fact establishing and executing good strategies and doing it in compliance and conformance with the organization's policies and rules. That leaves the role of management, the work of planning, building capabilities, running the business, and identifying and triggering various types of improvement activities. And again, we can think about this in terms of how the business manages itself. And we can also, of course, think about all of these things in terms of how any division or department of a business manages itself as well. And so when we, for example, establish a service value management approach, what we're effectively trying to decide is, given a set of organizational strategies, what IT strategies and policies do we need? And how do we then plan, build, run, and improve our services to be able to support the needs of the business? So governing bodies exist really for two things: to be able to establish which strategies the organization should be engaging in, and to be able to define various types of what I often loosely call rules that we have to follow along the way as we execute those strategies. As you'll see, some of those rules are internal, organizational preferences, and some of them are external, legal regulatory constraints that we're required to meet. If you sit on a board of directors or you're some other type of governing body, effectively you have three things that you're trying to achieve. Your organization exists to deliver certain kinds of benefits for certain stakeholders of that business, whether we're discussing various types of shareholders, employees, customers, other types of society and community resources, charitable organizations. There are lots and lots of different stakeholders who each have their own perception of what is valuable coming out of that business, and ultimately what their interest is in being able to see that business be successful. Along the way, we have constrained resources. We only have so many people, so much time, so much money. And so it's our job to optimize the resources that we have. And then as an organization, we want to establish and manage our what we call risk appetite. How much risk are we willing to take on organizationally to achieve our goals? And so it is a fundamental part of the job of a board of directors, for example, to balance three basic things: risks, costs or other resource constraints, and the value that we produce as an organization. So, with that as the background, consider trying to do governance without a fundamental understanding of cyber risk. Right? Organizational risk management is a governing body requirement. It is fundamental to what a board of directors has to do. And so organizations may leverage an enterprise risk management framework like COSO, for example, to be able to look holistically at different types of organizational risk models. And without something like the NIST cybersecurity framework, there's little or no ability for them to have appropriate visibility into prioritizing investments in cyber risk management practice. So, given the criticality that cyber risk plays in being able to do the work of overall effective organizational governance, as we then convert those particular business needs into various types of strategies and rules we have to follow, understand that the strategies may encompass a broad array of different business goals. Digital transformation goals, which may seek to help the business serve new customers or maybe serve existing customers in fundamentally new ways using digital business models. This may in turn fundamentally change the business's overall supplier strategy, which in turn defines how and what the value streams might look like, by which the business serves customers, generates revenues, profit, and market share, and is able to conduct and transact its business. Along the way, as we are executing these strategies, there are various rules we have to follow. Again, some of these are external. We think of these as laws and regulations. And so one aspect, for example, of auditing is about compliance, ensuring that we are compliant with those legal and regulatory constraints. Having said that, that will never be sufficient in order to ensure that the organization is in fact optimizing risk and making it most likely that it will be able to achieve its strategic goals. And so we need to consider what organizational policies and practices we will need to best optimize not only traditional confidentiality, integrity, and availability of services, but most especially the safety of our people and the safety of those business value streams across all these value chains. So this is one of the basic reasons using a model like the tiering model in the NIST cybersecurity framework is useful for us, because it gives us three ways to think about any particular type of capability within our organization. Do we have a diligent, rigorous risk management process that we're using to assess the relevant vulnerabilities, the particular threats we may face, the value of the asset we're trying to protect, and given some set of risks, what scale of controls are appropriate in order for us to optimize the CIA plus safety model? How well aligned is that at an organizational level, so that we have the proper business and executive level visibility into how we in fact monitor and report on our ability to manage various types of organizational risks, and that they have the ability to make informed decisions about investments in various types of cybersecurity controls that we may need to achieve organizational objectives. The last key piece there, of course, is it's not enough just to do this within our own four walls, but we have to be able to extend these capabilities throughout our supply chains to be able first reactively and then hopefully ultimately proactively to share information with our partners, with our various customers in a way that helps enhance and protect the whole value stream. So in order for us to achieve these objectives, we need to create a fundamentally different level of visibility in how we work collaboratively in order to be able to achieve organizational risk optimization goals. Right? I think most of this has to do with a fundamental understanding of the needs of the different stakeholders in hand. What exactly does a member of a board of directors need? Well, they need to be able to make informed decisions about risk. They need to be able to make informed decisions about relevant investments and how to prioritize different kinds of investments given the value of the things they're trying to protect. If you're a business manager, your goal is to be able to execute and support your strategies, but to be able to do it safely. So, what level of security is required in order to be able to ensure that not only we can carry out our business strategies, but be able to provide some level of assurance that we're doing it in a safe and effective manner? Within our own organizations, we obviously are concerned with which types of controls we need to implement and improve, and how we'll work together with our auditors to establish appropriate aligned goals for what capabilities are needed, how those capabilities can be demonstrated and validated, and to be able to ensure that auditors work together with the implementer teams to help better establish goals not only for compliance, but more broadly for organizational risk management. So, similar to other types of organizational capabilities, this requires a combination of people, practice capabilities across your entire service value management system, different types of tools and technologies that we'll need to leverage and use, and most importantly, the cultural supports that indicate that cybersecurity risk management is organizational risk management. And we need to think about this not as an IT problem, but as a fundamental business problem with fundamental business value involved.
Thank you for joining us today. Deep Creek Center provides consulting and training for businesses around the world. For more information, visit deepcreekcenter.com.